Racial segregation is the practice of restricting people to certain circumscribed areas of residence or to separate institutions, including schools, churches, and facilities such as parks, playgrounds, restaurants, and restrooms on the basis of race or alleged race. There have been many court cases that have been fought because of racial segregation, which include Brown v. Board of Education, Plessy v. Ferguson, and Sweat v. Painter. There have been many acts made and laws passed and abolished over the issue of race. Race isn't as much of an issue as it has been in the past, but it is still a problem many face in today's society. Racial segregation has been a problem for many years and continues still to this day. There have been multiple examples throughout history that show the problem of racial segregation within schools, movies, TV shows, and in society. The Help is a movie that shows racial segregation in the 1960s.
Haley, I wish you'd just go use the bathroom. I'm fine.
Oh, she's just upset because the nigger uses the guest bath and so do we.
Aibileen, go check on me, Mobley.
Yes, ma'am.
Just go use mine and Raleigh's. If Aibileen uses the guest bath, I'm sure she uses yours too. She does not. Wouldn't you rather them take their business outside?
Have y'all seen the cover of Life this week? Jackie's never looked more regal.
Tell Raleigh every penny he spends on a college bathroom, he'll get back in spades when y'all sell. Ugh, it's just plain dangerous. They carry different diseases than we do. Pass. That's why I've drafted the Home Health Sanitation Initiative.
The what?
A disease preventative bill that requires every white home to have a separate bathroom for the colored help. It's been endorsed by the White Citizens Council.
Maybe we should just build you a bathroom outside, Hilly.
You ought not to joke about the colored situation. I'll do whatever it takes to protect our children.
Schools in today's society are still being segregated.
Tonight of the protest at Block High School.
We got teachers that are not certified teaching subjects that they don't even know.
If you're a teacher and you don't know what you're doing, how you expect me to do?
These are the textbooks they were given at the beginning of the school year. Block High School is situated in Jonesville, the poorest section of Catahoula Parish. Nearly 70% of seniors are black, and about 60% of students here do not go on to college after graduation. But 13 miles away, there's another school in the same school district that looks a lot different. Nearly 90% of the senior class here is white. They perform better academically and enroll in college at a higher rate.
So we just tried to film inside Harrisonburg High School, but the superintendent won't let our cameras inside. They don't want the principals to talk to us on camera. But there's a clear, notable difference in how the school looks compared to Block High School.
Block High School graduate Tamiko Bloodsaw works as an accountant at a local sheriff's office. She says the school district's budget shows how unequal the funding is.
This is their 2018-2019 budget. Jonesville has 3 schools that they're funding. This is the amount of revenue that's brought in for just Jonesville schools. Upkeep for the building and the grounds come out to be about $22,000. You have to divide that by 3 schools.
Is that enough money?
No, it's
for Block
not.
High School to get fixed?
No, not compared to the other schools. But you come to Harrisonburg. One school, they get a total of $20,000.
$20,000, whereas Block High School is getting like $7,000.
Ross Barnett was Mississippi's governor from 1960 to 1964, and he supported racial segregation. He is most known for trying to stop an African-American man from enrolling at the University of Mississippi. Many years later, his daughter Ayuda Akin started to teach at a predominantly African American school. Ayuda had seen Lantern High School when she was little and didn't think about it again until she was hired to teach more than 40 years later. Racial segregation is an unusual topic for children to talk about, but it is a good way to see how the upcoming generation feels about it and what they know about it.
Segregation happens, but it's not like happening as bad as it did before, because before it used to be even worse.
In my class, there's Julia, and she's white, and there's me.
Well, my cousin named Alana, she used to go to a Catholic school. Well, she felt awkward because she was the only black person.
The only other people from the Middle East in the school is my cousins.
Because some people might decide to fit in with the people of the opposite race, but some people might not feel comfortable around people that isn't part of their race.
I've been to a school named PS85, so there were separate classes, English and Spanish, so it wasn't really fair because before I didn't know any English. I only speak Spanish.
I have a sister. She goes to a Catholic school, and her name is Hennessy, and it's like a school for rich people, and she had an opportunity to go, but you don't really see a lot of colored people, but there still is, but there's more white people that you see in the school.
One main reason I think that is because of the money too. Private schools tend to be more expensive.
I think that schools are segregated based on where you live, because people of color live with people of color and white people live with other white people.
My mom was looking at a school for me to go to, and the population for whites was really large and the blacks were really small. I think one of the reasons they did that was because number one, they still think whites are better, and number two, because segregation is illegal and they still feel like whites are better, they want mainly white people, but having one or two black people and a couple Latino, it makes them seem not totally white.
Well, I think diversity is good because people, we won't only have people that are from your culture. You have different people, you could talk to different people. You won't be talking to the same people.
Based on the article titled, "There is South, Then There is Mississippi," the author of this article had a personal connection to Mississippi and segregation. His great-grandmother grew up in Mississippi and tells him stories about what it was like for her when she was growing up. One time when he was in 3rd grade, he called his friend Sarah's house to ask her to be his Valentine. Sarah was white, and when he told his grandmother what he was doing, he got in trouble. His grandmother's mind still in the 1960s, and that changed the way the author felt about himself. He believed that white people were better. Lovey is a movie based on true events. This movie centers around an interracial couple who lives in Virginia.
I'm gonna build you a house. Right here. Our house. I want to take Mildred up to D.C. and get married. You sure about that?
By the power vested in me by the District of Columbia, I now pronounce you husband and wife.
In here? Richard! What you doing in bed with that woman?
I'm his wife.
That's no good here.
Richard Perry Loving being a white person and Mildred Jeter being a colored person did unlawfully cohabitate as man and wife.
Richard?
That ain't right!
I believe this is a battle that could go all the way to the Supreme Court.
We ain't hurting anybody.
The state of Virginia will argue that it is unfair to bring children of mixed race into the world.
Tell that woman to come out here.
I won't raise my family here. I don't care what they do to us.
Get Peggy inside! I can take care of you.
I know that.
I can take care of you.
I know we have some enemies, but we have some friends too.
You realize this case could alter the Constitution of the United States.
You think you'll lose?
We may lose the small battles, but win the big war.
Is there anything you'd like me to say to the Supreme Court Justices of the United States?
Yeah. Tell the judge I love my wife.
Racial segregation was a huge problem in the past and is still present in today's society. Racial segregation needs to stop. We are all the same. We are all human. It shouldn't matter if you're white, black, tall, short, have short hair, long hair, like sports, or like books. It doesn't matter. We are all